Martin is co-founder and CEO of Founders Freedom. Their website is foundersfreedom.org. So good people, help me to welcome our speaker for today, Martin Mutuku. Welcome, Martin.
Asante sana. Asante sana. Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, you're very loud and clear.
Thank you. Thank you for such kind introduction. Really pleased to be here. You guys have such a good thing going. I'm wondering why I'm discovering it this late.
Discovering 3 years later. Blame it on Dr. Melvin.
Yeah, totally. We'll have to sit down because I've known him for a little while. But this is absolutely beautiful. Thank you for having me join you this morning. Happy to share a few things. When Melvin called me on Saturday night, said we need you to come speak. Of course, we've interacted with him and known each other in this space of my area of my work. So this was rather easy, and thankfully at this time was the slot was open for me. So really pleased to join you this morning. We'll do a couple of things. Number one, I wanted to just give you a brief outline. So as we get into our conversation, then at least you know what to expect. And Peter, I suppose we'll take questions and answers later in the session.
Yes, we can always take them later, and enough people will be putting them on the chat.
That's
and
even
then
better.
We'll respond to them. Yeah, thank you.
Fantastic. So I'll walk you guys through a few slides that I've prepared to share my thoughts with you. But I always enjoy an interactive session, so I'll be asking a few questions. Just want to pick your thoughts as well on where you are, what you're thinking. So we learn from each other this morning. I will start out at high level, kind of bring things down as we close. One of the things that I would like to touch on is really a brief conversation around this dreaming, living your dream. I like your tagline. And much as the conversation today is on market research, there's a way you get to that. So I'd like to have a brief conversation about dreams. Then we'll get to the topic of the day on market research. But I always like information that I can act on. I listen to podcasts and videos and all of that, always wanting to walk away with something. So we'll look at some tools that you can use in your businesses and really apply what you're learning today. See what you can put to use. So that's generally the outline of our webinar this morning. So if I could, let me see if I can share my screen here. Great. Can you see my screen?
Yes, very well.
Excellent. So yeah, I think you're very kind words there in introducing me. You've already covered that part. So I have a question for you, friends. When I was talking with Melvin and corresponding emails about preparing for the meeting today, I was struck by your tagline of "Live Your Dream," and that just got me thinking, what is your dream? I hope it's okay to have people respond on the chats to save time, and then maybe you can read out. I just want to catch a few people, a few dreamers like me. I'm a dreamer. I love dreaming. I'm a big picture guy. So I'd love to hear what are the few dreams that people have in the group today. And as you do that, I would like to share my dream. So it's Peter, right? You introduced me as founder and CEO of Founders Freedom. And this is a dream that we've had for a while. Matter of fact, the conversation that saw us set out this company was happening in the 3,000 meters above sea level while hiking Mount Kilimanjaro. And Eventually, we made it to the top and came down, but the entire hike was purely about how to get founders' freedom off the ground. Preceding that was 20 plus years of experience working with entrepreneurs across the Africa region, helping with training, with funding, forming boards, hiring staff, setting up systems. And two things came to light that kind of solidified our dream in starting this entity. First is the experience working and talking to entrepreneurs and seeing and understanding the market dynamics, the challenges they go through. But secondly, was just getting to appreciate how much business success, especially small businesses, how much of a struggle they go through in creating a business. You're the one with the dream. You go out to, work on your dream, act on it. You start your company, you're selling a gas station, you're in transport business, you're medical practitioner, you're baking cakes, whatever business you do, it is your dream. But you very quickly realize that it takes a lot more people to help your dream come true. And now to find the right people to bring on board, whether it be the staff you're hiring or the suppliers you're working with, financiers, it's a real challenge for founders. So seeing how founders are just really overwhelmed with the many moving parts of setting up their businesses, that was one area for us. But secondly, we worked with entrepreneurs who are coming to a point where they're saying, listen, I've been doing this for 30, 40 years. I need to slow down, but I have nobody to take over this business. It all rises and falls on me. So that was another major pain point that we identified. And that informed our company's mission, helping founders find freedom. One, when they're running their business, like right now, how do you set up structures that you can actually take time away from your business, even for a month, all right? And come back and still find things are moving. And secondly, building businesses using such firm foundations that can see the business outlive you and last through generations. So that's our vision. Really passionate about building a community of successful, multi-generational African-owned businesses. Very particular about Africa. We're just coming to age. As a continent, relatively young. If you were to start the timeline on independence, we're barely 50, 60 years into independence. So most African-owned businesses are in that space. And the founders are looking to transition out. How do we ensure we are building multi-generational wealth? And that's how we go about it. Working with founders to help build firm foundations that then enable their businesses to run in their absence and last generations. So what responses do we have? What fellow dreamers do we have in the room today?
Yes, Antonia will read them out. Antonia, go ahead.
Good morning, team. I can sample out some responses here. One of them is desire for the future to achieve my goals. Then from Prosi says is to become professional health worker. Then there is Princess who says she would like to become a business mogul. There are more coming up.
There is Dr. Eda.
There is Catherine.
Dr. Eda's first response.
Okay, I think I missed that. I'll go back to it. From Catherine, it says set up global business in providing customer experience solutions. Then there is a law who says to be successful African journalist. There is Dr. Eda's fulfill my life's purpose. Yeah, I think those ones. Then there is Monica who says transformative leader.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing your thoughts. I know it's a little early Monday morning, but this is really helpful I'm hoping by the time we are done with our session today, you'll at least take something away that allows you to crystallize your dreams, put them in a way that you can actually act on them. At the end of the day, you don't just want to leave it at a dream. We want you to progress and to start acting on it. Become the professional health worker, the business mogul, achieve your dreams. All those things are wonderful. We'll try and distill it a little further through our discussions this morning and bring you to a place where you can act on it. But I believe I have until about half an hour or less.
You have just about half an hour. You can go up to 8. We are going to close at 8:15. So if you go up to 8:05, then you pick some questions. That would be fine.
I would actually prefer to have a bit more time for Q&A. So let's see if we can get through this quickly enough and allow for more reaction from participants. So just a quick quote here to step back a little. And I was preparing, I was thinking through the different phrases that we have about dreams and the way people talk about, oh, the future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams. But I like this particular quote about dreams. And the way it talks about accomplishing great things, you must not only act, but also dream. Not only plan, but also believe. There are a couple of things to pick from this quote, just to set the stage for our discussion this morning. And you see the challenge here to not just act, but first to dream. Visualizing what success looks like before you go out to dream. But more importantly, dreaming of it allows you then to believe in it. That's the first part. Believing in it then prompts you to plan for what is this dream that you believe in? How do I bring it to pass? So you can plan on how to go about it. And then all these things will now help you move your dream, to plan, to act on it, and help you achieve great things. So something to keep in mind. I was invited this morning to share with us about market research. And I'd like to focus on that conversation in the next few moments. And just right off the start to give us a bit of context here for purposes of our discussion in framing and defining what is market research. You'll notice a few areas that are highlighted, at least in italics and underlined. Those are keywords for us to look into. So one of the definitions, there are many. One of the definitions for market research is process of evaluating viability of a new product or service through research that's conducted directly with potential customers. So you notice those 3 words that I underlined there. They're really, really important to pay attention to if you are to conduct a successful market research, all right? Viability is not to be confused with feasibility. Something is viable if you can sustain it. You do it in a way that it's sustainable. You can ask yourself, is it feasible to cross this crocodile-infested river? It may be, if you can find some way of swimming fast or jumping, stepping on top of their heads, it's probably feasible. But viability is a little different. Has more to do with, can you sustain this over time? Is it viable to get into this venture? Again, you're looking at that in the lens of, can you deploy your investment and get something in return? Can this thing work? All right. Notice the new product and services through research again. Now, the good book, and thank you for the prayers this morning. The good book challenges us that who would set out to put up a building without first taking stock? doing their research on what will this cost. So you don't start and then you run out of steam midway, and people look at you and finish building and they're laughing at you. Excuse me. So conducting research then becomes really, really helpful. So you take full stock. What is it going to be? What is it going to take? Do I have what it takes? What do I need? Is it something that I have, something I need to get from somebody else? Is it something that's needed? Or is it just a dream that I have, a passion that I have? So doing research is really, really important. You understand the lay of the land. You look to balancing what you're feeling so convinced about in your dream versus what the market really needs. And that's where potential customers come in. You will not go to talk to a different set of people about the viability of a business when you get your samples and then you're applying it to a different set of people. So you want to make sure that you're conducting your research, you're talking to the people that will be your eventual customers. So again, going back to Founders Freedom, the way we set up our company, yes, we had a 20 plus years experience working in the development space, helping microfinance institutions and individual SMEs. So we knew this thing would work. But what we are offering, our dream, like I shared with you, is successful multi-generational African-owned businesses. So how do we achieve that dream? Is it viable? Yes. Like I shared, there are businesses that are coming to that stage of needing to transition out, the first generation to the second generation, third generations. We have such few such success stories, and we're really passionate about seeing many businesses thrive. So our understanding of the business climate, working with individual business across the Africa region, we know that this is viable. There are businesses that will be needing this service. And we've done our market research. We had a really, really interesting survey that we sent out and got some wonderful responses. Again, validating that, yes, what we are offering is important. This is research conducted to founders. We had to define that really, really specifically. What kind of founders are we looking to work with? The guys who are actively running their businesses, you've got the time to run around and get things to work, or is it the older generation that's looking to pass on the baton? So getting to be as specific as possible on who is your potential customer then becomes really, really helpful for you. Now, market research can be an intimidating term. First of all, am I equipped to do research? Do I need to pay somebody to do research? Do I have the money to pay somebody to do this research? If I choose to do it by myself, where do I start? And how do you process all that information when you get it? So I'll be sharing with us a tool that you can use in conducting market research, trying to understand the different dynamics of your market environment. So one of the challenges that we've seen with SMEs is the amount of decisions you need to make every day. And that's what gets most founders overwhelmed. A lot of decisions. Do you, you show up in your office on Monday morning and you get a call and your key staff is not coming that day. Your supplier calls you, they're no longer able to supply this. Bank is calling, sorry, we didn't get to approve your credit line. And so you have to be on top of things and make all these decisions. So having a structured way of making decisions becomes really, really helpful. So I'll share with us this morning a tool that you can use to analyze and make decisions, especially in this space of market research, for those of us that are considering starting out businesses or already are in business and are trying to figure out, is this thing working or not? There's some way that you can conduct some research and do that. The other thing that I would like to say before I move to the next slide is you very quickly realize, for those of you that have not gone into business, you start a business and you very quickly realize that there are very many players. Running a business, your business exists in an ecosystem. So it takes a lot of moving parts for your business to succeed. It's not just about you opening up your medical practice, your dental practice, or whatever it is. It's not just you baking the best cakes in the street, having your kindergarten school or whatever it is, your management consultancy firm. There are a lot of other players that determine whether your business will succeed. From the customers that you're serving, to the suppliers, to even your staff, your business partners, really, really important. And so this ecosystem, to really define who are you going to work with, becomes extremely important for you as a business person. And that's where this is one of the tools that we use and we strongly recommend for SME founders to wrap their heads around all the moving parts that it takes. Some of you may be familiar with this. It's called the BMC tool, Business Model Canvas. I like it for several reasons. It's rather simple. It gets you in one page. You get to plot all the moving parts and get to understand how to organize your information, how to organize your business, really in just this one page, sorry. There are three main sides to it for those that are not familiar with this tool, and I walk you through that fairly quickly. So on your top right, there's this first box here. And the main thing to look at here is the value proposition. That's where you want to start. What value are you bringing to the marketplace? Why would anyone consider your services or your products and not your competition? Please don't, the competition is helpful to give you an indication of how the market is responding, but you need to resist the temptation of building your business model, your value proposition purely on account of what competition is doing. Value proposition has to be inherently you. What unique things about you do you bring to the table? Now you do your SWOT analysis, your strengths, your weaknesses, the opportunities and threats that exist in the marketplace, but being able to distill your dream as much as possible into what unique value do we bring to the table. That's really, really important. And that's where it starts. If you get your value proposition off, then the rest of the business model is going to be off and it will not work. You need to be able to sit and ask yourself, so I'm seeing workers in the offices, they need quality, affordable meals while they are in their offices. So what value are you bringing? Is it cooking quality food? Is it in the pricing? Is it in delivering it to the officers? So you see, the response to that question then informs a lot of other pieces we'll be looking into. If you believe your value is in cooking quality meals, that is just one piece of it. The food has to be delivered to the officers and paid for. If you believe the gap is, a great restaurant, you're not great at cooking. A great cook or restaurant, but the gap really is in the delivering. You get these food delivery apps. So it starts with value proposition. Spend time and really drill down, define your value proposition. Really, really important. Once that's clear, it informs your customer relations and the channels you'll use in addressing your customer segments. Again, back to the story of Founders Freedom, I shared two key segments for our market. One is founders who are just beginning and they're extremely busy. They're feeling overwhelmed with their businesses. So how do we help that particular segment plan their business, build this foundation so they can actually extract themselves. They can get freedom from just feeling overwhelmed to the daily grind, daily decisions they have to make. And the other segment is founders that have been running their businesses for a while, and they're needing to start scaling back, handing it over to the next generation. The reason I'm giving this example is you immediately notice that the channels you will use for those different segments is slightly different. You won't get many people in their 60s and 70s coming for webinars like this. So if that is our segment, then I'm probably needing to join a golfing club or this membership clubs. That may be the channel I'll need to get to speak to people that in the 60s and 70s looking to transition out of their businesses. So the moment you define your value proposition, then you can pick the channel that brings you to the right customer segment that you're targeting. So that's the first part. Let's move out to the left. Again, you realize here, like I said earlier, it takes a lot of people to run your business successfully. And one of the mindsets that we challenge founders is the thinking that you can do this by yourself. Nothing could be farther from the truth. There's no way you're going to set up a successful business and run it by yourself just because you're the dreamer, you're the founder, you've put in your money, you're the one who knows what success looks like. Well, all that may be true, but even with all the money that you could need for your business, you're going to need employees, right? That's a key resource for your business. If your employees sabotage your business, there's no way you're going to succeed. And we've worked with founders who have done everything right. They got an excellent dream, excellent product. They've set up everything, and they go hire an accountant. I'm not good with numbers, so I'm needing to hire, excuse me, a CPA that can help and look at my books. And you're paying them really good money. But what happens? They're too smart for you, and because you don't quite know what to look out for, they either not delivering the reports that you need, or they even end up stealing from you. That's happened so many times. So you need different resources. And similarly, you need to then define what key activities do I need to focus on to deliver my value proposition. So remember the conversation earlier about lunch, quality lunch for guys in the offices. Actually, a better example is what happened during COVID, and economy is locked down, restaurants are cooking food, nobody's going out, and then you've got all this food delivery apps and companies coming up. That activity is what is delivering food to their customers. Now it becomes so accustomed, they don't need to go out, just dial Glovo or whatever and have food delivered to me. So such activities then define how you deliver value to your customers. The third and final block is this costs and revenues. That's really where the money is. That's what goes in and what comes out at the end of the day. We set up businesses to make money. So really, really important for you to then define from your value proposition what key partners you're working with and key activities. They define your cost structure and your revenues. So friends, at a glance, fairly high level, we won't have the time to go into as much detail as I would love to, but this just gives you a glance of what kind of research you'd be needing, how many moving parts you're needing to take into account when you're researching for the viability of your business. All right. So that's probably a deeper conversation that we have time for, but hopefully you've been able to pick something on what to factor in when you're conducting your market research. So, like I said, I like to give information, and even when I'm receiving information, I like to do it in a way that allows me then to go and act on it. And so here's a question for you. So you've dreamt, you've done your research, how do you then live your dream, right? And we've got a few suggestions for you to check with, to act on. We found this to be really, really helpful for founders, especially that have been in business for a while and they're trying to figure out, is my business making money? Is my business model actually working? And can I build a business that then others can come and work with me in a fairly structured way? So there are 4 things that I'd like to walk you through relatively quickly, so we leave ourselves a bit of time to do Q&A. One of the really, really important starting points for us is the area of strategy. We apply a 4S model, and the 4S for us is start with strategy. So you've had your beautiful dream, you've gone out and done your market research, you validated your product or your service, you know, yes, this will sell. Now, because we are all in agreement that you're operating in an ecosystem, using your BMC tool, you need to document your strategy. Strategy is many things, but effectively, it's simply defined as a way of making choices in an unpredictable environment. Market dynamics are always changing. You need to stand here today and say, these are the choices I'm making of where I will be, what goal I need to achieve in 3 years' time. You don't know what 3 years is going to be like, but you can make assumptions. Those assumptions will either hold or they will not hold, but you still need to make your decisions today using the information that you have. The point here about strategy is allowing yourself to put your dream in writing so that it's an easy to communicate and engage the different stakeholders. Communicate this with your management team, with your staff. Another key stakeholder is your investors, bankers, and finally, your customers. So you need to be able to have the strategy in writing. You sit here and you wonder, so why do we care? Why does Safaricom care to tell us that they're going into the Ethiopian market? Well, you're buying their stock, and the moment you hear that announcement, you know the stock price is going to go up. So that's why it's important for them to communicate. Look, we are a stable company, we're growing, moving to new markets. That means more wealth for shareholders. So you want to hold a share in that market, in that company. So communicating your vision. You don't write your strategy and keep it to yourself. You need to find ways of communicating with different stakeholders. So then your employees know, where do I come in? What is my role in achieving that big picture? All right. So strategy, really, really important. The second S is structure. And we've worked with entrepreneurs that just want a good document they can take to the bank and get money, check a box. But we also seen the frustration of founders who would write their strategies and they don't get to act on it. Because the moment you finish writing your strategy, you get back to business, things happen, your assumptions are challenged, and you say, this strategy is not working. You put it aside and get back to business as usual. The place of having a structure for your business is not only helping you make better decisions, but it's the accountability to follow through on what you said you would do. One of the reasons that we set out this New Year resolutions, and by February, is because you don't have somebody that is calling you out, and a friendly reminder, just checking on you, asking questions. Hey, Martin, you said you're going to be waking up at 5 every morning and going for a run. How did you do last week? There are people that will confess that they show up for forums like this because they have a friend that they didn't want to disappoint. Somebody else checked on them, reminded them, invited them. So such accountability structures are really helpful. We do this through coaching, one-on-one. Once you've helped you develop your strategy, a Founders Freedom is able to sit you down and set up at least 6 to 9 months of accountability that we follow through to see what has changed in the marketplace. What tweaks do you need to do? Are you doing the things you said you would do? But we also help founders in creating boards, recruitment, onboarding, and training, and also evaluating their effectiveness. And you've seen that aspect of having a structure in your business really, really helpful. There are a lot more details in this. Legal setup, your legal structure, getting your right documentation. Is it a partnership? Is it a business name? Is it a limited liability company? Is it a society? So going through all those different structures then allows you to know what is the best accountability mechanism I need to put in place for my business. Third S is systems that allow you to document, implement, and automate your standard operating procedures. Really, really important. One of the early definition of machines, how to make life easier. Machines make life easier. So that is what systems is for your business. Being able to document your key steps, all the critical steps in your business, then you're now able to observe from a distance. Is that working? Do I need to improve it? Do I need to tweak it? But more importantly, systems allow you to deliver consistently as your business is growing, but also get to a place of automating some of your processes. Then you introduce efficiencies in your business. And finally, staff, really, really important aspect of your business. And this allows you to then determine how do I get the best people for the job? How do I get as clear as possible on their roles? But it's important to realize that it's one thing to hire key staff, but also as entrepreneurs, we are prone to being micromanagers. We really don't trust easy. Unless I'm the one doing it, it won't be done the way I want it done. And so you end up getting in the way of your really, really good employees and they can't perform. Once you've documented your systems, you've defined a job role, you define your key performance indicators, then you can find the right man or woman for the job and step out of the way, and then you can assess how they're delivering, because you will not be able to do everything by yourself, right? So the quicker you get to a place of articulating that and finding the right people, then you can allow them to work and assess how they are performing. People are able to come in, they plug in, they know what's expected of them, give their best, and then help your business grow. Staff is the surest way that allows you as a founder to replicate yourself. So you want to be careful that you bring the right people, but also allow them space to do their work. Evaluate their performance if they're not meeting, hitting their KPIs, their performance indicators. Then you can give them the right feedback, help them improve or replace them, all right? In conclusion, therefore, what do you do with this information? How do you move forward from here? First is to commend you guys for this beautiful weekly forums that you create. This is a great way to get enlightened, to get to know what's working, what's happening. All these wonderful topics that you have, really, really helpful in equipping you, enlightening you, creating awareness of what else is out there. What would I need to do? Where do I start? So first, it starts with information. You've had your dream, you've done your research, you can picture everything because you've been exposed to how to go about it. But secondly, is then getting equipped. Yes, you've been made aware. Can you move a step further and act on that information? Using the tools, the templates, get professional help if you must. And there are different ways of doing that. But it may appear cheaper to do things your own way, but that not only ends up wasting a lot of time, but also resources, as opposed to just getting professional help. Areas that you're weak in, get key partners that can work with you to then equip you and help your business grow. Finally is engage. I like this group that you've been keeping this for 3 years. Founders Freedom, we have a community of founders that we are building, and that we can all come together, learn from each other, encourage each other, meet often, and be able to grow together. So engaging with like-minded founders, entrepreneurs is really, really helpful. You feed in their energy, you learn what's working with other people, promising practices you are not aware of, and you can then grow together in that community. So thank you. Thank you very much for your time listening this morning. I am happy to take some questions and comments.
Yeah, thank you very much. Antonia, are you there? Will you read some questions? The first one I saw was from Melvin himself. Well done, Martin. In light of the Finance Act 2023, increased taxation and other compliance regulations financial year 2023, is it necessary to redo market research and business strategy in light of changes in consumption patterns and changes among your competitors?
Absolutely. Look, market research is not static. You realize that when employees received their pay slips, I think it was the end of August, it was looking very different, a lot of deductions. And that therefore informs their purchasing power. So whereas you had done your market research and done your projections, you'll be able to make the sales. Things have changed. People have cut back from eating out, for example, from driving their own cars, so using either Ubers or Matatus. So the market environment is constantly changing. Some of those pronouncements and policies and taxation come into play. They are supposed to immediately trigger, I need to go back and find out what is changing in the marketplace, and therefore, how do I need to adapt my products, my services, so I remain competitive, I remain viable in the long run. So yes, market research is absolutely important for the businesses looking to reposition themselves and remain viable.
Thank you very much. I hope he's got that answer clear. And thanks for talking about dream. Our organization is called Live Your Dream. We literally help people to live their dream through such forums. They meet people like you. They get some insight here and there. Somebody had commented that she's now learned how to live her dream. That is Prosi Miingo, spring 2023. She says, thanks so much, Martin, for sharing. I have understood how I can achieve my dream. And she was to leave at exactly 8 to join another call. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, you can put your questions here. There is a lady here, Monica. Great presentation. Thanks for share great insights and on achieving dreams, both personal and business. Should strategies be for 1 year, since much can happen in a year? That's again from Melvin.
Very good question. With so much uncertainty, you almost want to pause and ask yourself, what is the point of planning for 3 years? And that strategy is almost going to be irrelevant after a short while. But the thing is, strategy is one thing. Strategy is really a way of achieving your goal. So what you want to be really careful about is differentiating between what does success look like down the road. It's 3-5 years, set your goal. Strategies are just how do I then achieve that goal? Strategies always change. Your goal should not change, all right? Because you're operating in a very dynamic environment, you're going to be challenged. You're going to be forced. Look at COVID, for example. Hotels have had to adapt their strategies of still hitting their goal, right? They still want to make their sell targets. But for you to do that, you will not sit back and expect people to come into the restaurant. Now you need to have different channels of delivering. So that is a strategy that changes, not the goal. So yes, you can have longer term strategies, but adapt different approaches in achieving your goal. the thing to be mindful for Dr. Melvin is make sure you're reviewing your strategy as often as possible. At the very least, twice a year, preferably every quarter, you need to be able to come back to the drawing board and see what has changed. What do we need to adapt to remain relevant? But yes, you need to do your strategies for longer than just a year.
Thank you. And just going back to that subject of research, are there some, like you talked about the cost? Sometimes when we mention you, I like the way you started that. The moment we hear the word research and market, we relate it with some expense.
Yep.
Now, are there tools like maybe what you used when you were doing your survey? How did it go? How did you do? Did you have certain tools to use that would help you to do it more affordably, to get the views of different founders? Generally, anything you can share along that line?
Yeah, for smaller businesses, when you're starting out, you don't have a big budget. Yeah, there are affordable ways of still conducting market research. You want to make sure that it's not an idea in your head, but it's actually something that potential customers relate to and actually, pay for it. In this era of technology, we use Google Forms, for example, and just send out the survey and got responses. So the one thing I would say, much as you're looking to save on cost and all of that, so well and good, the place you may need help with is in framing your questions, because this is kind of where the story of garbage in, garbage out. If you don't frame your questions correctly, you're going to get wrong responses, and that will be no help. So even if you're not paying for the entire exercise, get help in framing your questions. So once you put out the questions, then you're getting responses that are you're able to utilize. And lastly, it's the analysis of that information that comes in. All right. Be able to make sure that you can read, what is this telling me? What are the trends? What do I need to pick out from this information to redefine my value proposition?
Thank you very much. Yeah, and thanks for bringing up the concept of BMC. It's a very powerful tool. Now, how often should somebody think about this research, or it's once and for all? You already have a market. Yeah. and on that note, somebody has also asked, since business plan is tied to strategy, so how often does the business plan need to be tweaked in a year?
Ideally, strategy is for longer term, and the plan is a list of activities organized in an order of priority that you do in a shorter term, hopefully in a year. You do a plan for a year, but your plan is linked to your bigger strategy. So you're reviewing your business plan to reorder your list of activities, but it's still linked to your longer term strategy. What was the other question again?
How often should you conduct the survey? Once is enough.
No, it never is enough. That's how companies end up pivoting, because you set out with your clear dream of who you're targeting, and that could just end up shifting. So you don't want to be doing your market research to zero in on your value proposition all the time. It's the strategies of delivering that may be changing. So as tests and preferences change over time, you want to maintain contact. And here's, I don't know if some of you are shopping at Carrefour. Carrefour is one of the supermarkets that's really, really good at survey. And they're always sending me emails to learn about my experience. And that way, you've got people behind the scenes constantly tracking my preferences. They can always reposition themselves to make sure that they are serving and meeting my tests. I don't get to leave. So stay engaged with your customers, stay connected, get to hear their ideas. Since you're selling to them, they're probably the best people that will give you the feedback that you need. And since you have them locked in, that becomes really helpful. And that's the idea of a community. Having a community like this, you're sharing ideas, growing together, like-minded people, it becomes a powerful way of making sure you're keeping track and remaining relevant.
Beautiful. Thank you very much. Now, there is one more question. Thank you for the great presentation. Can you speak to maintaining top talent and financial uncertainty? I think the idea is you want to maintain top talents, but then you are also not very sure whether you can afford them. Yeah.
One of the biggest pain points for especially small businesses is attracting and retaining top talent. Even in relatively stable SMEs that are able to offer good salary and all the benefits, Safaricom comes like this, and there's an opportunity to work in their call center. That guy is gone. That guy is gone. Because they're looking at your business and thinking, do I want to stick here with Martin? Is just a few years in his business. Maybe this thing will not last. So it's extremely, extremely challenging for SMEs to attract and retain top talent, because you're not competing on financial muscle. You've got bigger guys that can pay way more. But the thing we tell SMEs is you want to be so clear on your dream, on your vision, and that's really what you are selling. That's what you're helping people coming in to buy into, not so much the money. There is a great danger in just throwing money at different problems. Make sure you are able to sell the value. And secondly, as people buy into your dream, you've got your strategy clearly articulated so they can see what is my role in helping you achieve this dream. That is so powerful that you get people to stick around because they are working towards achieving something bigger than themselves. So even if they're to leave, then you already have a documented system of doing things. You're not destabilized by their departure. They come in, plug into an existing system, they leave, somebody is able to come in. So having your 4S foundation really, really helps you stabilize and not have to worry about people coming and leaving.
That's very powerful. Yeah, you brought it very well. It reminds me about different stories on how people build. It's always just about selling the dream, selling the vision. Then others might just run with it faster than you, and you accomplish bigger things together. Great. I think because of time, we may not be able to. Maybe we pick one more. Yeah. Okay. There is my accountant says that we are heading to a parallel gray economy because of increased taxation. People will be operating out of their homes, paying in cash, not leaving a paper trail. How does one strategize in such a situation? Whatever that, I've not heard of parallel gray economy. I may want to be enlightened on that. But then one more here is, as you think about that gray economy, this should be the last one. Biggest challenge is how to remain unique, especially when we have you also competition looking at what you do. Yeah, when your competition is largely looking for what you do to replicate. So well, I think that's a comment from Evans Houseman. Houseman deals with houses. Yes.
Now, don't worry about competition, and don't worry about people copying your ideas. They will always copy. You open your M-Pesa shop, you're going to get 10 M-Pesa shops next to yours. So you don't worry about that. What you need to be careful about is, since the dream is yours, even if you went and documented your strategy and somebody came and stole it, the dream is not in the paper that you've written down. It's in your head. And the key thing we tell founders is it's in the execution. That is where the trick is. Nobody can execute your strategy the same way that you do. That's your competitive edge. So don't worry about people competing with you. You see all those different hotels or restaurants or whatever it is. And people choose one over the others because you are absolutely clear on your value proposition. Maybe chakula yako ni mzuri, hapana weka chumvi mingi, hapana weka hizi vitu zinasumbua watu tumbo. Maybe it's a customer service, maybe it's the ambience. You need to be clear on your value proposition. Don't worry about competition. Do your thing. And secondly, keep innovating. Keep learning from your customers. The market research you're talking about, get feedback, get insights, keep improving. That will keep you ahead of the game. So Evans, don't worry about competition. Do your thing, do it well, execute like nobody else can, and you do not have to worry about competition. Like you, Peter, I'm needing to learn about this gray economy. Gray economy always
parallel gray.
gray. But
Great.
the secret is, look, it's you cannot tax yourself as a country to prosperity. But it is what it is. We've got taxes to contend with. You just need to look at your cost structure and your revenues. Now, there are different ways. Necessity is a matter of invention, as you're forced to, eat into your margins. You need to get more efficient in your costs and look at different avenues of bringing revenue. So I know we probably won't finish, so I've got my contacts there. Happy to continue engaging. Happy to have people join our community so you can continue this conversation together. But yeah, really, really enriching conversation this morning.
Thank you very much. And even for your answer to Evans, I always believe that there is a DNA of the business which is in the business person. So they can replicate, but they will not replicate that spirit. The spirit in you will always be unique. And that's why people will do the same business, but some thrive, some don't. They are along the same street, they are selling the same product, but some just thrive. Yeah, so that uniqueness in execution, the spirit within you that is driving you will always make it different. Thank you very much. I'd like to welcome Dr. Melvin himself to give a vote of thanks on our behalf. And then afterwards, Antonia, you're going to do any announcements that may be there. Thank you very much. Then we close. Somebody will close for us. Maybe Antonia, you'll just close with the word of prayer. We are 2 minutes after the time.